Hey there, Capricorn rising. So this is your ascendant forecast or rising sign forecast for the week ahead, going from Monday, the 24th of November, right the way through to Sunday, the 30th of November, 2025. And if last week you found that was quite intense in terms of friendships and alliances and quite reflective about what you would like to see globally in this current time, then I think you'll really enjoy the week that we've got ahead, because things are releasing. It's a really strong release week. Venus is super strong. You know, she's really like taking over the show, I would say, in quite a magnificent way. Your ruling planet Saturn is finally releasing from his retrograde he's been in since July the 13th. And so there's all these subtle signs saying, yes, 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 things are starting to move forwards. And so that's what I'm most excited about for you, Capricorn. I really think by the end of the week, there's going to be some nice emotional breakthroughs, a feeling like there's a turning point in terms of relationships, and in particular, the relationship to yourself, because you're also coming up to a typical sleepy time for you. You know how bears hibernate, allegedly. I've never actually met a bear personally or observed a bear other than a zoo. But the idea that bears hibernate, I think astrologically, we hibernate for 1 month a year, when the sun is in the sign just before our own sign. And so right now we're going into Sagittarius. You know, we are in the Sagittarius period now. The sun is in the sign of Sagittarius. And this is the start of your hibernation. And it doesn't mean to say you don't do anything, but it's a time for you to be a lot more kind of like pull everything up close. I've actually got 2 hot water bottles on my lap while I'm recording this. This is like me getting all cute. I can't afford to pay heating, by the way. It's just things get very cold in Portugal in the winter. Oh, why did I even say that? Anyway, let's keep moving. So if you're new to this channel, my name's Louisa. And this is Feel Good Astrology. And as you know, as I've just revealed, I'm pretty transparent and try and say it exactly as I see it, feel it in the moment. This is using a Western tropical whole sign model, which you may or may not be familiar with. And I'll show you what that means in a second when I bring up the charts. So that's the next thing to do, isn't it? Let's bring up my slides. And yeah, before we get going, I just want to say thank you to everybody that supports my channel, whether it's a one-off donation, a regular donation, or whether people have joined me in school on my school platform called Feel Good Astrology. Thank you so much. You make it completely possible to do this. So I really appreciate you. Anyway, here are the 2 charts. This is the chart for the beginning of the week from a Capricorn perspective, Capricorn ascendant. This is called the first house, this little chunk here. And this is the chart for the end of the week. Now, the first thing to just share is when you look at your birth chart, if you see the sign for Capricorn here and the sign for Aquarius in your first house, then it's also worth listening to the Aquarian forecast. That will also be of benefit. Anyway, the start of the week, you'll see that Sagittarius is here, and you've got the sun in Sagittarius and Mars. You've got Mercury retrograde and Venus in the sign of Scorpio. Yeah, so you've got Venus and Mercury in the sign of Capricorn, in the sign of Scorpio, and the moon is just in your own sign right at the start of the week. By the end of the week, you'll see that Venus has also joined the sun and Mars in the sign of Sagittarius. This is your little area of hibernation. That's how I see it. This is a time to come back into yourself, to come into nourishment, because come the end of December, you know, around the time of the winter solstice, you'll be coming back into your own pattern. You'll be coming into that Capricorn time, and that is the time when you wake up and you shake off the hibernation. And so this is a natural point. You know how people sleep at the end of the day, and people say, oh, when you go to sleep, that's when your body goes into repair mode. This is what you're coming up to. You're coming up to this lovely, glorious repair. Anyway, these are the most important things that I see happening in this week ahead. And you'll notice that it's all planet to planet, planet to nodes, direction, and where planets are going. I'm not really mentioning the moon because the moon moves all the time. And so I only really comment on big things to do with the moon. And this is a subtle change on the 28th. So On the 28th, the moon is going to be in a square to the sun. It's going to be in the sign of Pisces. This is the first quarter moon phase that we're going into. And the first quarter moon phase is associated with moving forwards, like really starting to pick up speed. It's like you're taking the handbrake off. If we're using a car analogy, it just feels like in this last, from the new moon in Scorpio that happened on the 20th up until the 28th, you're really in a warming up the car phase. You're just warming up the car, especially in winter, making sure your windscreens get defrosted and whatnot. And so, from the 28th, Friday the 28th, it feels like you're revving up, taking the handbrake off, and you're heading forwards. And so that feels really good. Time to take action. And so the 24th to 26th is a time where you're still kind of warming up, you're limbering up, and you're noticing what you're learning. You're noticing what you have observed and are ready to implement once you get moving from Friday onwards. And so let's start with this, Mars in the T-square to the nodes, because Mars is currently in your 12th house, meaning that there's a lot of active recognition of things. There's lots of physical things that you might want to reprogram about yourself. You might be having sort of internal physical things going on, dreams where you feel very sort of physical, imaginations where this is a good time actually to imagine the kind of physique you would like, but any ideas about your physicality, your body, your strength, anything to do with your determination that you're not quite feeling great about, this is a time when you can be really reprogramming yourself. This is a wonderful time, by the way, for things like neuro-linguistic programming, EFT, hypnosis, subliminals. All of this stuff is very deeply nourishing and helpful, and it could really set you up for the year ahead. But anyway, Mars is in a square to the South Node in the 9th house and the North Node in the 3rd house. Now, the North Node is showing where you're heading, and where you're currently learning stuff. And so you're currently learning stuff about being part of the community. You're currently learning stuff about being like belonging somewhere and what it feels like to be a member of where you belong, to absolutely engage in that sort of community energy, which for Capricorn, it's not necessarily the first thing you think of, and so this is a deep learning, and one that you wouldn't think was that important until it comes up. And so right now it's community o'clock for you. Where you've been with the South Node, and I think you quite enjoy this actually, is you've already explored what it's like to be out of your community. You've already explored what it is to, be different, forge your own path, to not need the consent of other people. And I don't mean that like you ride roughshod over people, but you're not checking in with people to say, oh, do you think this is the right thing? It's like you're not asking for other people's advice. You are very independent, and you've really developed that beautifully. So you know what's on your mind, your mind. And yet right now there's some kind of social contract that you're feeling into now. Maybe you're realizing actually that, when you don't involve other people, there is something that's lost. So it's quite an important distinction. And I think it's going to be coming up more and more for you to get into the community more, to feel that sense of belonging. But if you're feeling really stuck at the moment, it's because there's something you need to take action on in your unconscious mind. There's a little belief here that's stopping you from going into the community and feeling comfortable. And so whatever comes up, and it could come up physically in your body, you might feel a sort of discomfort in a particular area. I mean, you can rub your hands together, give yourself some Reiki, do some energy work on that part. You can imagine that part of your body that feels a bit frozen, a bit stuck. Imagine different colors, temperatures. There's all sorts of things you can do to get that energy that's stagnant, held in your body, get it moving. I think it's all about your sort of crystallized beliefs about yourself. And once you free those, all of a sudden it's going to be so much easier to get involved in the local community and to feel a sense of belonging, and not to feel like you've sold yourself out, which I think is important. Now, this is just a subtle thing. Like, it's already been building, it's exact on Monday, and then it's fading off. But it's an important point, because soon the sun's going to go there, and then Venus is going to go there, and then Mercury is going to go there. And so a similar energy is going to come up again and again and again, 1, 2, 3, 4, over the next month and a bit, really challenging the idea of you being a supreme independent person and forgetting about interconnectedness. So it's a really big thing that you're learning. Now, Tuesday and Wednesday, I think, are a lovely sweet spot. Mercury in a conjunction to Venus is, I think, reminding you about the networks, the beauty of networking, the beauty of being connected to people, not just close friends, but friends going a bit further afield. There are people of great influence that you can bring into your life that I think are going to be also a great fit for you. And maybe that's one of the things that you've been learning about with this new moon that happened here last week. Sometimes there is a shift in your friendships, because if your alignment changes, if you're always changing and feeling that you're moving up and evolving yourself, the people who would hold you in that stuck place, they kind of fade from view. And you start bringing in these new contacts. So I think this is a really exciting time with very new, strong contacts coming into play. And, Wednesday is the evidence of that. On Venus trine Jupiter on Wednesday, from the 7th to the 11th, is really great. Don't turn down any invitation unless you absolutely know it's not for you. She's also making an exact trine with Saturn in the 3rd. So this is community, this is your partners and best friends, and this is the wider energy field of friendships and people maybe that you don't already know that you should know. And when you know, things transform. So there's this lovely, beautiful grand trine working for you, not against you. This is helping you open up so you're not an island. And of course, Capricorns can definitely become an island. And then we've got Thanksgiving in the middle, which, if you're American and you celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving to you. On Friday the 28th through to Sunday the 30th, things are speeding up. So Saturn goes direct in your 3rd house to community. So any misgivings that you had and any hard lessons that you've been learning about what it is to belong to a particular place and all the kinds of fallings in and fallings out that happen. To me, it feels like you've learned what you needed to learn. You can let go a lot of it and you can just start moving forwards with a feeling of, I have purpose and I have meaning within this sense of belonging. It's good. Then Mercury goes direct. Again, reinforcing this new social feeling, which I think is great. And then on Sunday the 30th, Venus heads into an exact opposition with Uranus from the 5th to the 11th house. To me, this is maybe a little bit of a shock or a jolt, sort of emotional breakthrough. Maybe you're going to commit to something a little bit more risky than usual. It just feels like there's new possibilities coming up in these relationships, which are kind of shocking. It's a relationship turning point, I think. It's going to help you be a lot more creative, but maybe creative in a different way, creative with other people, in a way that you maybe didn't realize before. And then Venus in an exact trine to Neptune in your 3rd house. To me, that's beautiful because that's encouraging you to create magic with other people around you. And then finally, Venus moves into Sagittarius. And it's time to just rest a little bit. Sure, you can socialize with people and, be gently socializing whilst you're in hibernation. But this, to me, is a lovely indication that you've done all of the development that you needed to do. And, actually, it's okay to reminisce, enjoy where you are right now and be gentle with yourself. Because very soon, once we go into the Capricorn season at the end of December, you will be coming into a much more go-getting time where you'll be able to, move forwards with all those opportunities. So this is quite an intense time. So if that's been helpful for you, if you like the way I journey through these sign by sign charts, then maybe you want to journey with me a little bit more. If you're interested, I've got a school community specifically for forecasts, where there's a Monday to Friday forecast and also a weekly forecast for all 12 signs, whether you are, where it's about love on the one hand, and there's another one about money. So I go even deeper than I have today. I also have a school community that's more aimed at learning, where we're learning through our charts together. In groups, and I've got a timetable of events which is about to get a lot busier with a lot more learning into 2026. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. And then finally, I'm opening up for 2026 10 spots for a year-long private astrological mentorship. And this is quite a luxury where on a month-by-month basis, you and I can sit and we can really go into your chart from like a completely different perspective. I've got 3 different journeys I'm going to be launching, and you can choose one, or a little bit of this one, a little bit of that one. But each month we'll be working on your chart in a different perspective so that you can learn more about your natural rhythms, the things that are naturally starting things, ending things, any healing that's coming up throughout the whole year. We could also be looking at your chart in relationship to one of your family members, or your work. We could be putting it to problem solving. So it's a really interactive learning and deepening journey for you. So if any of these sound like, oh my God, this is just what I have been looking for, then just get in touch. My details are below in the show notes and also on my channel page too. So sending you loads of love for a wonderful week ahead, and catch up with you all soon. Bye for now.